Hi, I'm Greg Regan, President of the Transportation Trades Department of the AFL-CIO. I'm here with Congressman Greg Casar from Texas's 35th Congressional District, and this is our latest installment of On the Move with TTD. Congressman, thank you so much for doing this.
Yeah, I'm so excited to be here and talking with Union family about transportation.
Yeah, well, and for us, really, it's about workers, and that's what drew me to your career so far, early career on Capitol Hill. I first met you doing a thirst strike for workers that are denied water breaks, even in some of the most extreme conditions, and that's something that transportation workers have to deal with in virtually every mode. And I've also seen you standing up for flight attendants to demand a fair contract as well. So, what draws you to those types of issues, and why have you made that such a priority in your early congressional career?
People can't get around without workers. Our economy can't run without the working class, but so much of our government has served big corporations and the powerful instead of really listening to working people. And so I started out as a labor organizer before running for elected office, and I try to stick to those and keep to those roots. And so one of the first things that I worked on as a labor organizer was actually alongside a lot of workers who were being denied water breaks in the Texas heat, including standing alongside their families of people who had family members that had died on the job working in the Texas heat. And so we were demanding our city council at the time pass water break protections. The city council at first wasn't listening, and then we stood out in front of City Hall all day in the Texas sun without drinking water, and that created an opening. It created a lot of public consciousness, pushed the city council to actually pass water break protections, and then those passed in multiple cities in Texas. Fast forward a few years later, I'm in the United States Congress, and the Texas legislature gets lobbied by some of the biggest corporations in the country, and they pass a law banning those water break rules. So one option is to just give up, or it's to go back and organize again. And so I was so proud that the transportation trades and so many folks involved with the AFL came and stood with me on the U.S. Capitol steps. Now as a congressman, not drinking water all day in that sun, and actually got a call from Julie Su, the Secretary of Labor, who's so awesome, who said, we're going to move forward now a national rule for water breaks so that everybody, whether you work in transportation or construction or the service industry, whether you're inside a really hot warehouse or where you're running baggage at baggage claim, or if you're out in the sun, that you should get a chance at a water break, because these are just basic rights. And the only reason we don't have them in this country is because I think too often corporations have run the show instead of worker power being built through unions changing our laws and rules.
You're 100% right there, and you know, one of the things that has struck me in my career at TTD is so many of the issues, the fundamental issues that workers face. There's a common thread throughout them, whether it be, you know, facing the threat of assaults on the workplace, whether it be water breaks, whether it be paid sick time. All of these issues, it doesn't matter if you're a railroad worker, transit worker, an aviation worker, construction worker, and we're all fighting the same fights, the same values. Which brings me to my next question. You know, you brought the president of the Texas AFL-CIO to the State of the Union address recently. You know, how is that relationship and your history with the labor movement shaped the way you approach this job on this stage?
Yeah, I came from the labor movement and tried to bring that here to DC to say I'm not going to DC on my own. I want to bring the whole Texas labor movement with me. And so bringing Rick Levy, the president of our Texas AFL, there hadn't been a state-fed official from Texas brought here ever to the State of the Union, as far as anybody can tell. And organizing is happening all over the country, but it's starting to happen so organically and rapidly in places like Texas that were considered right to work for less states, that maybe, you know, we can't organize, but workers are organizing on their own, and bringing in the support of the AFL is what's going to make those wins permanent. So we've organized the first union hotels in Austin's history, the first hospitals in Austin's history, service workers and nonprofit workers and journalists in places like San Antonio, all organically wanting to organize. And I think bringing Rick here to hear President Biden speak, the most pro-labor president in my lifetime, I think really shows that this is a moment to talk about organizing and to talk about it, especially in states like Texas, that oftentimes have been, you know, counted as these sort of not union states or anti-union states, but the workers in Texas are just as pro-union as anywhere else. We just got to get to those folks.
Well, that's where there's such a growth opportunity to empower more workers, is in the right to work for less states, as you pointed out. And the thing about the labor movement that I've always found so inspiring is also it is driven from the bottom. It is a democratic environment. You have the state feds, the CLCs, you have the locals. Everything feeds up, and when we show that, when you have the President of the United States, and when you have Liz Schule, the president of the AFL-CIO, when they're standing arm in arm talking about the benefits of the unions, it can have a really important impact for people on the ground. They see that they have support elsewhere at the highest levels of government. So in transportation, I mean, this has been an exciting year for transportation. We're seeing a lot of the effects of the infrastructure law, which was passed last Congress. What are the priorities for transportation in your district, and how do you see the law benefiting your constituents?
Well, we were talking a little bit earlier about what my favorite mode of transportation is. I'm on it all the time, right? I'm on a plane back and forth from Texas, back and forth. I-35 runs through my district, and so I'm in a car in traffic on that thing all the time. When I was a city council member, I loved riding the bus into work, but the infrastructure law can really bring modes of transportation that we want that I haven't had before, and I'm actually jealous about, getting to be able to ride. Now that I sometimes here on the East Coast, a train that connects multiple cities, makes me really want to have trains in Texas that can get you from Dallas to Austin to San Antonio easily. Light rail projects that have been locally funded but need federal funds could maybe finally get off of the ground. And so, to me, a place like Texas that is growing so rapidly really needs just such a bigger train system, both local rail and commuter rail, and so I'd be really excited to see if we can get some of that done.
Well, my parents actually took a train, an Amtrak train from Rochester, New York to Austin, Texas for South by Southwest years ago, and they said it was the best experience they've had traveling to this. Great. But I'm not going to let you off the hook, though. So what is your favorite mode of transportation?
I will say, I want more trains, so we'll call it that. The thing that I don't have is what I want.
That's great.
Yeah.
Perfect. Thank you so much for doing this. This has been On the Move with TTD and Congressman Greg Casar.
Appreciate you.
Yep, thank you.